Hello everyone, welcome to the daily news analysis of Next IAS. This is Varun. Today we will discuss 5 important articles from two newspapers, The Hindu and Indian Express. So our first section will be regarding prelims, that is explained section. First article is about CPI and WPI. Then we will further discuss about trade data which has come yesterday. Then further we will discuss about birth and death registration system. After that we will discuss about ASHA scheme. Then we will further discuss about our decoded section which is related to mains examination, and the topic will be power demand and hydrogen. So let us start with our first article. So our first article is about CPI and WPI. This article has come in the backdrop. Yesterday the government has released CPI and WPI data. So in that context, this article has come into Indian Express as well as the Hindu newspaper. The headline is Retail Inflation Eases to 3.34%, lowest since 2019. This is very important and relevant for our mains examination as well as prelims examination. This year itself in prelims examination, they can ask about the trend. Like it is relevant in Indian economics section of mains examination, that is GS paper 3, and in prelims examination it is again relevant. It can ask as a trend data. So let us try to understand the news, what the newspaper has reported, and then further we will understand about various things. So the news is retail inflation is to 5.5-year low. So the trend is in southward direction now. We can see this 3.34% in March, whereas in Feb it was 3.61%. So it is on downward trajectory. What was the basic reason? Because of lower food prices. So food prices has moderated over the period of time, and that's why it is being reflected into CPI data. Also, fuel and light inflation has increased. The food prices has decreased, whereas fuel and light has increased. CPI data moved also in same direction as WPI. So this is very important. Sometimes what happens, both CPI and WPI diverge also, but here what is we are seeing convergence between two data. There is sync between two data. Wholesale prices is 2.05% in March from 2.38%. So WPI data also, here we can see that it has eased, and then beside it various economists has also said and predicted that this year the CPI value will be less than 4%. That is, the RBI has mandate of 4% plus minus 2%. Due to Monetary Policy Committee, their mandate is they should maintain their CPI data in between this bandwidth. It should not cross. If it is going to cross, they have to give the reason and explanation to the government, and that is through RBI Act. So this table is taken from the ministry data. So here we can see that this is important table. You should understand that all commodities we can see index number and annual rate of inflation. So how annual rate of inflation is going on? So basic weight is 100, and in Jan index was 155, inflation was 2.51. In Feb it was 154 and inflation is 2.38. So this data is regarding our WPI data. Here primary articles is 22.62%, whereas fuel and power is 13.15%. Manufactured products has highest weightage, that is 64.23. So you should always remember this data and focus on this thing. This distribution can be asked in prelims examination itself. So always remember the trend in which data, which sector or which section is more than other. Then further we can see that how WPI is changing over month on month. So again, primary article fuel and power, it is here, and from month on month we can see that in October it was positive. After that constantly it is decreasing in the month on month basis. Beside it we can see that even in last slide, food index. So food index is here 24.38, its weightage. Food index has also weightage in this, and it is also after October 24 we can see that it is in negative direction. So it is decreasing. Now let us try to understand some basic fact about CPI and WPI. So CPI is basically rate at which prices of goods and services that consumer purchase for personal use increase over time. So consumer is using it as a personal use item. they cannot sell it further. For example, a retailer is purchasing from wholesaler, so it is not a personal use item. Whenever the retailer shopkeeper is selling it to consumer, then only it becomes final good. Its weightage. So let us try to understand what is the weightage of items in CPI. Most important, food and beverages has 45.86%, whereas we have seen just that food item is only about 24% in WPI, where it is in CPI it is 45.86%. So this itself can be asked in prelims examination by creating a statement on comparative analysis between two and the percentage and value of food item. Housing 10%, fuel and light 6.84%. So this is most important thing which are in CPI basket. Base year has been 2011 to 12. Its classification. So CPI is also based on rural, urban and combined. Beside it, there is other thing like industrial worker, CPI IW. So this is published by Labor Bureau, and this is also being used to measure inflation in regard to industrial workers. Similarly, agricultural labor, CPI AIL is also there. So it is again in the context of published by Labor Bureau. So Labor Bureau under Ministry of Labor. Beside this, this 3 CPI is being published by MOSPI, that is Ministry of Statistics Planning and Implementation, which compile and releases these data on each month after observing and calculating the data. So let us try to understand about WPI. WPI measure price changes at the wholesale level, whereas CPI at the consumer level, and here it is wholesale level. It covers goods in bulk. It is not at retail level but at wholesale level. It does not cover services, that is important thing, whereas CPI covers services also, but WPI does not cover services. Then there is weightage. So let us try to understand manufactured goods. Most weightage is given to this section, that is 64.23%. Then primary articles 22.62%, and further fuels and power 13.51%. So we can see here that fuel and power is having more weightage in WPI than CPI. So this is also important data. It is released and compiled by Office of Economic Advisor under Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Base year is 2011 to 12. Now there are some other terms related to this CPI and WPI, like WPI response rate. This term itself can be asked in prelims examination as a concept, or they can simply ask like term in news. So you should cover it also from the perspective of prelims examination. It refers to the percentage of data points that are collected for the WPI calculation. So what happens, ministry from time to time collects various data for the calculation of WPI. So these data points calculation and collection is known as, in the terms of percentage, is known as WPI response rate. For example, they have asked to 100 people and only 80 have responded for WPI, so the WPI response rate will be 0.8. A higher response rate generally indicates a more reliable and comprehensive. Natural, if more people are responding to the data quality will be high, the basket will be larger, so that's why the compilation and calculation of WPI will be much better. Then WPI for March 2025 has been compiled at a weighted response of 82.7%. That is quite high number. Then another term is GDP deflator. So what is GDP deflator? It is just a basic thing, nominal GDP upon real. Always remember, nominal upon real. And it should be generally more than 1 if inflation is positive. If inflation is negative, there is deflation, then this number will be less than 1. And if there is no inflation, what will happen? Nominal will be equal to real. It broadly measures inflation. Beside it, it includes all goods and services. So GDP deflator is much better indicator of inflation because it includes all goods and services also. And again, it is published by and compiled by NSO, that is National Statistics Office, NSO, or under MOSPI, that is Ministry of Statistics Planning and Implementation. Further, there is another term that is headline inflation. So what is headline inflation? It is just measurement of total inflation in an economy. The complete economy. Headline is equal to total. It includes food, energy prices, food, fuel, everything. is included. Whereas there is another thing which is known as core inflation. So for core inflation, what happens? We remove the prices of food and fuel. So total minus for core is equal to H minus prices of fuel and food. Okay. So this will provide much stable. It means it is only covering those things which are stable in nature, like manufacturing, industry. So this will help to understand better manner whether the rates which are being transmitted by RBI is working properly or not. So that's why it is more stable measurement of inflation trends. Then let us through a PYQ, try to understand which type of question can be asked on this particular topic. Consider the following statement: the weightage of food in CPI is higher than that in WPI. The WPI does not capture changes in the prices of service which CPI does. RBI has now adopted WPI as its key measure of inflation and to decide on changing the key policy rate. Which of the statement given is or are correct? So this is our humble request. Kindly mark your answer in our comment section. Your PS will review. There is another practice question which says that which of the following brings out the CPI number for industrial worker. So as already we have seen and covered this in our slide, please mark your answer in our comment section and your PS will review. Again, one of very important article regarding IMD monsoon forecast has come into the newspaper. It is covered into both the Hindu and Indian Express newspaper. The article's headline is IMD forecast above normal monsoon. We have already covered this article in a very holistic manner on 1st April 2025 episode of DNA. Kindly watch the video and understand about the topic. Our next article is about trade data. So this article has come in the backdrop. Export data has been released by Ministry of Commerce and Industry. In that backdrop, this article has come into the Indian Express as well as the Hindu newspaper. So the highlight is flat exports. High imports widen trade deficit to $21.54 billion. What is the relevant of this particular article? So this is relevant for prelims as well as mains examination. In prelims examination, it can be directly asked in the form of trend. Even in some previous years, this question has been asked. So you should cover this in a holistic manner. The ministry will release complete report of last year also about trade data, how much services, how much merchandise has been imported, exported, what was trade deficit, everything including service sector also will be released and compiled by the ministry. So you should go through. Even various sectors will be included in that report, like petroleum trends, petroleum export import trend, similarly electronic goods. So and which goods is being more exported, which is more imported. So all these things will be covered there. One should definitely cover. There is a very good chance that UPSC can frame a question or a statement on that and ask in the prelims examination. Even this is important for our mains examination in GS3 Indian Economy section. Why? Because it will help to add some value addition material or make your points much more relevant when you are covering like performance of India's economy or performance of external sector. There you can directly give these data points and that will help you to substantiate your argument in a much and better manner. So now let us see what the news says. So here is the table which shows that how things are changing. So exports, you can see that in the table it was $41.97 billion in March, whereas in March 2024 it was $41.67 billion. So only 0.7% increase has happened. That is not a huge, it is very less, just a incremental growth. Whereas in imports, in March 2025 it is $63.51 billion, whereas in March 2024 it was $57 billion. So we can see from here that the increment in imports is 11.4%. So our import in the month, import growth is much higher than the export, and that has translated into what? Trade deficit. That's the reason. And trade deficit in March 2025 is $21.54 billion, whereas $15.34 billion. Similarly, you should see this for the yearly data. So for yearly data, we can see here what has happened in the yearly. like for year 2024 to 25, whereas for we are comparing it with 23 to 24. The complete data in a much broken format for each section will come further in some few days. The ministry will release, we will again cover it. So we can see that export is $437.42 billion. So remember one thing, this data is about merchandise. Here services sector is not covered. When it will be covered, so the data, when it will cover merchandise as well as our service sector, the import and export value will increase further. Import is almost stagnant. We can see and compare these two data. There is no particular difference, only marginal some $1 million. Whereas in import, there is a huge difference, $720 billion, whereas it was $678. So it is around $42 billion, and that is why import is increasing more than export, and that's why trade deficit again in 2024 to 25 is more than in 23 to 24. So there is rise in trade deficit. Now let us try to understand some basic concept regarding our external sector. So the basic thing is balance of payment. The basic keyword is, so what is balance of payment? Comprises of two things, current account and capital account. You can take the screenshot of this also. There is high probability on this concept UPSC can frame a question, whether this is part of current account, whether this is part of capital account. So you should aware about this thing, and it will help you to fetch a good mark. So current account and capital account both comprises and forms balance of payment. Then current account is composed of trade balance and invisible balance. Trade balance is basically what? Good imports and good exports. Good means merchandise like cotton textile, ready-made textile, electronic goods, processed petroleums, whether these are imported, exported. Even crude oil which we import comes under this trade balance, that is goods import, good export. Then there are invisibles like services trade. Services trade we cannot see, that we cannot touch it. So tangible and intangible, similarly services trade. Then there is transfer payment also, which is being transferred by either some government or some multilateral banks, that's also. Then there is factor income. Factor incomes means some of the money, like some service or something provided by our factor, land, labor, capital, that is also coming. So those all comes under this. Then in capital account there is foreign investment, external assistance, and third component is ECBs, NRI deposit. So what happens? Foreign investment, which coming in the form of FDI and FPI, foreign direct investment or foreign portfolio, that is comes under capital. Capital means they are in the either creating asset or liability, that's why they are called capital. Whereas current account does not create any asset or liability. For example, we are providing BPO service to any particular company or which is located into US or Europe. So there is no asset creation, only there is a service and for which we are getting some money. Similarly, we are exporting some like cotton textile or some garments, and for that we are just getting money. So there is no asset or liability creation. Whereas when capital comes, like FDI is coming, FPI is coming, it is actually for the person who is investing it, it is creating them asset for them, whereas it is liability on India. Then external commercial borrowings and right deposits, again these are liabilities for India. For example, any Indian company like Reliance is there, Tata is there, they are raising money from the external market like US, Europe, or wherever it is relatively easier to raise the money in the form of loan. That again is a liability. Similarly, NRI deposits are there. So what happens? NRIs who are living abroad, they are earning. So government provide them some favorable interest rate also, so that they can deposit here some money in the form of dollar. So that will help India to fetch some dollar, attract some dollar, and that will again help to create or balance our exchange rate. Then there is external assistance. External assistance here in the form of loan. Earlier transfer payments were also there, like remittances is also included in this transfer payment. So remittances is current, whereas capital, external assistance in the form of loans. For example, India is taking loan from World Bank or IMF for some sanitation project or anything, so that will come under capital account. So this is the basic concept you should try to understand and remember, which will help you to solve questions on it. Let us try to understand this also. You can take a screenshot and remember these definition and facts. Balance of payment record all economic transactions. So balance of payment is just what is the basic thing is, it records all economic transactions between two countries or between one country and global world over a specific period. For example, 2023 to 24 or 24 to 25. This compilation and dissemination of BOP data is responsibility of RBI, that is our central bank. Then current account, it measures transfer of real resources. Real resources means like goods, services, income and transfers between one economy and rest of world, like Indian economy and rest of world. Similarly, merchandise account, what is? It includes transaction related to import and export of goods only, not services. Then there is invisible account, which includes non-factor services. Non-factor services like travel. You should clearly remember this. What are non-services factor? This is an important thing. This itself can be asked, and in a statement format or options will be given and you have to choose. Like travel is there, transportation, insurance and miscellaneous services. These come under non-factor services. Then there are transfers which do not involve any value in exchange, like remittances is there. Similarly, incomes which are given for compensation of employees as well as investment income. For example, Indian nationals or Indian government or RBI has invested or purchased some bonds or something. So what happened over the period of time, they will be getting either dividend or some interest. That interest will come under this income. It will not be calculated as capital. The investment will be calculated under capital account, but the interest will be calculated here in income account under the current account section. Then in capital and financial account, we have already seen it also comes under the BOP. It reflects net changes in financial claims on the rest of the world. So there will be two types: non-debt flows, non-debt like direct and portfolio investment, whereas there are some debt flows like external assistance, commercial borrowing, non-resident deposit. So what happens? Why FDI and FPI is treated as non-debt? Because it is not in the form of loan. Here, yes, it is liability. For example, from US, the money is coming in the form of investment as FDI. So they will be investing in the return of some assets, some shares of a company. So it is non-debt in nature. Whereas there is also formula regarding our current account deficit. So the current account can be deficit or surplus. Deficit means you are importing more and exporting less, whereas current account surplus means just a basic thing you should remember: you are exporting or gaining more revenue from external sector and less you are importing or expanding less. So this formula shows that exports minus imports plus net transfers, net income from abroad. When this thing will be negative, it is called as current account deficit. When it is positive, it is called as current account surplus. So beside it, let us try to understand some other terms like trade deficit versus current account deficit. So trade deficit occurs when a country's import exceeds its exports. Already we have seen that. Whereas current account deficit is a broader measure. Trade deficit only focus on one thing: import and export trade deficit. Whereas current account deficit, we already have seen in this formula that it also includes net transfer and net income from abroad. That's why current account deficit is a broader thing, of which trade deficit is part. Okay. Beside it, there is one very famous term which was in 2016-17 economic survey was also covered twin deficit. Twin deficit is simultaneous occurrence of fiscal deficit and current account deficit. So fiscal deficit means when government is also borrowing a lot and current account deficit is also there, means there is parallelly we are importing more or we are paying more for import and we are paying less for export, including we are also getting less income transfer and less net remittances and everything. So let us through a PYQ try to understand that which type of question can come, and you should practice this also. So consider the following statement. This is come into 2023 paper. Statement 1. India accounts for 3.2% of global export of goods. Statement 2. Many local companies and some foreign companies operating in India have taken advantage of India's PLI scheme. Which one of the following is correct in respect of the above statement? This is our humble request. Kindly mark your answer in our comment section, your PSL review. There is another news regarding Waqf bill which has covered into both the Hindu and Indian Express newspaper. This is very important topic. This year there is high probability that it will be either asked in prelims examination or mains examination, because it is becoming one of most controversial topic, and controversial topics are always favorite for UPSC. So you should read the provision of Waqf Act which has been amendment, or it is also known as Umeed Bill. We have covered it on 25 March 2025 in a very holistic manner, in a very detailed manner, including various provisions in one of the episode of DNA. So this is our humble request. Watch it and understand the nuances. We are further moving to our next article, which is regarding birth and death registration. So this article has come into the Hindu newspaper in text and context, and its backdrop is Office of Registrar General of India cautioned private and government hospitals to report incidents of birth and death within 21 days. The heading is Are births, death being properly registered? What is relevance of this? So its relevance in GS2 paper in population related issue, as well as in our GS1 paper, that is Indian society paper, it can further be utilized and asked. Whereas in prelims, the various facts like about Registrar General of India can be asked. So let us try to cover it from both prelims and mains perspective. So let us try to understand what the news is about. So there is a circular and which says that around 10% of birth and death are not getting registered in the country. Then it is also saying that 100% registration yet to be achieved. Further, the Registrar General of India reports that level of registration of birth and death in country is 82.54% and 66.4%. So even death is much more less registered as compared to birth. Birth has reached till 82%, whereas death is still only 2/3, 66.4%. There is also an act related to this provision, Registration of Birth and Death Act 1969, which mandates or which make it mandatory that all registration of birth and death should be done. Besides it, the section 23(2) of this Registration of Birth and Death Act says that if there is any negligence by the registrar in registering any birth or death, is punishable with a fine, and that fine has also been increased with amendment. So this provides a complete picture about the news. Now let us try to understand about Registration of Birth and Death Act 1969, and which was further amended in 2023. So what happened? It provides for compulsory registration and of all births and deaths. We already have seen this. Then the amendment in 2023 further provided some extra features, like it provided for centralized portal, and centralized portal will be used for mandatory registration. Okay, so one can use this centralized portal which is under central government. All states should utilize this and report on this so that there can be a data at national level. Birth certificate which has been issued will be used as a single official document for establishing date and place of birth. So what happens right now, there is a chances that a lot of certificates, like many times high school certificates or some certificate issued by panchayats, are being used for the proof of birth, and place of birth, whereas the government has said since 2023 this birth certificate will be utilized as a single document. State government also should share all the data with center. And section 23(2) again penalizes for the negligence by registrar. If they are doing negligence, if they are not registering, they should be penalized. Now let us try to understand what is the current status of registration in India about birth and death. So as per Registrar General of India, birth registration in 2011 is still 82.4% and death registration was 66.4%. Then there are still some section which has completely not registered anything, and that is 10%, and the target of 100% registration is still work in progress. You can see all things here in the slide itself. Then there is further some data like last available National Vital Statistics Report. So this Vital Statistics Report is being compiled by Registrar General of India so that it can give a picture that what is current rate of birth, current rate of death. It will give a picture about demography of the country also. So that's why this is very important, this vital statistics report. From it we can see that in 2019 2.48 crore birth happened, and which reduced to 2.42 crore in 2020. Similarly, death in 2019 was 76.4 lakh and death is 81.2 lakh. So this can happen due to COVID-19. 2020 was COVID-19 year in which births reduced and death increased. Decrease in birth registration as per this report has been observed in more states. Many states right now are not that much registering birth, it is reducing, so that is the trend. Further, the article says who can register birth and death. There is again a question mark. So under civil registration system which provides for the registration, either government hospitals will provide for the registration. If a baby is born in the government hospital, so it is responsibility of the government hospital itself that it will enable registration and report to the RGI. Similarly, there is provision for private hospital that they should report to local registrars whenever birth of a baby is happening. In rural areas, panchayat officer or revenue officials must look into the registration process, and state government should appoint chief registrars and registrar at state and district level so that the registration process should be streamlined in a holistic manner. Now let us try to understand what happened further in 2023. So 2023 also provided that civil registration system portal was being given, and all registration regarding it was centralized and digitalized through this CRS portal. So it helped to streamline data in a much better manner, and that will also enable access to the data throughout 24/7 availability. Digital birth certificate was also started to be issued, and it was sole official document for various purposes like admission in schools, government employment, voter ID, driving license, passport, Aadhaar issuance will depend upon this. So whatever the date of birth is written in this certificate or in all other documents, same will be given or utilized. Then marriage registration also will be dependent on. So for the purpose of whether the person is 18 years or not, for the purpose of marriage, this again certificate will be utilized as a sole true arbiter of birth data. There is also interlinkages with other database, like it will be further linked to NPR, electoral rolls, property registration, ration card system. So that's why the registration of birth and death data is very important, and that will help to further streamline other things. Then there are some challenges being faced by Registrar General of India, like at hospital level various issues are there, like many times the hospitals wait for relatives to approach them for issuance of birth certificates, rather they proactively provide it. It is not a we can say check system, where even you are not present, even you are not requesting, still these certificates are being issued. Then many times they ask family itself, particularly private hospitals, to report birth themselves to the municipality. Beside it, there is also registrar level issues, that from the registrar side also there are issues. They fail to implement citizen friendly practices. So what happens, the process become cumbersome, and that's why citizens lose interest in registration. Also many a time delay in certificate issuance. So what the RBD Act 1969 has mandated that within 7 days it should be issued, but due to clerical corruption and petty corruption in lieu of greed of bribe, many a time they delay the issuance, which is 7 days. Some other problems are also there, like awareness is low among masses itself. They are saying that the issuance of birth certificate is not that a big thing for them. Corruption is again among lower staff. Fake certificate problem is also there. Sometimes fake certificates are being made, and there is no mechanism till now that it will help to identify the two. Let us also try to understand something about vital statistics India report. So it is a key government publication which compiles what? Infant mortality, stillbirths, general death rates. You should remember, it does not only compile birth and death in a simple manner. Infant mortality, stillbirths are also as it is reported by the hospital. It is based on aggregated data which is submitted by all states and union territories. So the current status which it is providing right now at in 2020. So state-wise publication, what is status? Only Mizoram has published in 2023. Beside it, in 2022, some other states like Himachal Pradesh, Karnataka, Delhi, Chandigarh, Goa, Arunachal Pradesh has published this state-wise report. Kerala, like state which is very advanced in health facilities awareness, it has also published this data only in 2021. Now let us, through a practice question, try to understand which type of question can be asked on this particular topic. With reference to Registration of Birth and Death Amendment Act 2023, consider the following statement. Under the Act, all registrations to be done through the centralized digital CRS portal. Private hospitals are obliged to report events to local registrars. And third statement is birth certificate becomes the single official document for establishing date and place of birth. Which of the following is or are correct? So this is our humble request. Kindly mark your answer in our comment section, your PSL review. Then we are going to discuss our further a very important topic which is related to ASHA scheme. So the relevance of this is in our government, in our GS3 paper, welfare scheme and health related issues, that is GS2. Beside it, it can also be come into our prelims examination. The basic features of ASHA scheme can be asked. It has been come into the newspaper in backdrop that ASHA workers protesting in Kerala since last 2-3 months. So the headline itself is saying, why are ASHA workers protesting in Kerala? This has been covered into the Hindu newspaper. Now let us try to understand what news is about. So since last 2 months, we can see here there is agitation going on in Kerala by ASHA workers for demand of their rights. They are demanding better remuneration and retirement benefit, as ASHA workers are not permanent, so that's why they get relatively less remuneration. They are basically treated as volunteer, and that's why it is there. Issues by ASHA workers have been remain unsolved till now. Agitation has been gaining media attention. Even Parliament has discussed about this issue, but still the issue is not resolved. So let us try to understand about this important scheme, which can be itself be asked. Primary role is act as a bridge between community and public health system. ASHA, community based health workers. ASHAs are community based health workers. It is instituted in 2005. The year was 2005, and under NRHM, that is National Rural Health Mission, which is right now part of National Health Mission. So National Health Mission is a broader umbrella under which NRHM, National Rural Health Mission and National Urban Health Mission both covered, and this ASHA workers were instituted under NRHM. This is an important fact. Beside it, the full form is accredited social health activist. So they are itself being treated as an activist and recognized even as a health activist. Mostly women residents are being preferred for this who are from the community itself. For example, if it is a village, so government prefer that it should come from that particular village itself, the woman should come from. Then what was the objective of this ASHA program? Objective was to improve health outcomes. It was to ensure access to basic healthcare services. So basic healthcare services should be provided. That was the purpose in rural as well as underserved area. So what happens in urban areas? There are well established hospitals, primary health center, secondary health center, then tertiary, everything is there. Even people can easily access because transportation is good. Primary health centers are located at each block level, everything is there mostly in urban areas, whereas rural areas are far flung, they are not connected properly with the transport system. So even in 2005 government needed this thing and come up with this idea that there should be some members itself from the community, itself from the village, who will be aware about various provisions of basic health services. They will help to monitor, they will help to educate, they will be able to create awareness among the masses and provide some basic services also regarding healthcare. And that's why ASHA workers were recruited as a volunteer. It also promotes universal immunization. Government's universal immunization program also runs, and this ASHA workers play a very crucial and critical role in providing vaccination to young born children. Then they also helps into institutional deliveries, whereas ANM, that is auxiliary nurse midwives, are playing more important role in this, but ASHA workers also, especially during the stage of pregnancy awareness, all those things they play important role. They focus on maternal and child health also. Beside it, facilitate health awareness, sanitation awareness. Also, they give a good advice and guide on family planning, nutrition. So these are also very core and important part of health. One health covers like everything. It covers sanitation also. It covers nutrition. So these need awareness, these need information, and these ASHA workers are source of those information for particular community in which they are working. There are some selection criteria and training. So residency, the woman must be resident of that particular village. Employment is not full time, they are not full time salaried employed. It has been reported that over 10 lakh ASHA workers are working across India. It is volunteer type, that is incentive based volunteering is there. So there will be some particular amount of remuneration, beside it some incentives are also being given. What is the education criteria? They should be literate, and ideal condition is up to class 10th. At least they should get some education. Then further, what is the role of ASHA? So these are the various roles which ASHA workers perform, like maternal and child care they provide. They counsel women. What happens in rural areas? Mostly women do not have access to information, knowledge. They mostly reside in the household. So these ASHA workers are a very good source, and they help women to understand what is safe motherhood, how they can take infant care, how they can focus on nutrition of the child and mother itself. Beside it, they provide contraception services also, infection prevention. All these information is being provided by the ASHA worker. Then they play crucial role in immunization drives, referral services at primary health center level and secondary. So what happens if someone is ill, so and they are not aware about the ambulance services, where primary health center is located, how to reach, so they also play crucial role by referring to primary health center or secondary health center as per the situation is there. Then they also play important role in monitoring and reporting of births, deaths, disease outbreak. If there is particular type of disease outbreak like cholera or diarrhea is there happening in the particular region, ASHA workers also play crucial and proactive role by providing information to the authorities that this type of disease is spreading and it can be controlled in a timely manner. Then they also go to the homes and visit those which are regarding newborn baby and provide some care also. Then they are acting as a health activist. They raise awareness about government health services also, because they are aware that which type of scheme are coming. Like for example, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana is there, and many people were not aware that up to 5 lakh rupees insurance is being provided by government. So in this type of awareness drive also they play crucial role. Then they were one of the most important role they have played, that they become the backbone of health services, especially in rural areas during COVID-19. Also, national immunization drives beside maternal and child health campaigns. Even WHO has recognized their contribution in COVID-19, and in 2022 the WHO has awarded them Global Health Leaders Award. Besides it, they face some challenges also, like low and irregular payments, that is, salary is not fixed. Again, incentives depends upon location. For example, in tribal areas the incentive is more as compared to those villages which are nearer to urban areas. Then there is no job security or social protection. It means there is no insurance is being provided, there is no pension system is there, so social security is missing. Besides it, workload and expectation is high, so they are doing awareness drive also, they are playing role in immunization drive, they are visiting homes also. So workload is relatively quite high as compared to what they are being paid. They are often excluded from decision making process. Even although they are working on the ground, they are much more equipped with the ground knowledge, but their input is not being taken by the authorities while making any decision. Similarly, they are recognized as volunteers instead of regular workforce, and that is the primary reason that their rights and various social security measures are not being provided to them. So what should be the way forward? So way forward should be government should come up with a balance, that it should come up with a plan where there is some social security measures can be provided, insurance, pension facilities should be provided to the workers. Besides it, state government in coordination with central government, they can also provide some particular incentives or some additional money which can help them to get more remuneration. Besides it, there can be some creation of fund which over the period of time will be utilized for compensating these ASHA workers. Also, their work should be rationalized, they should be provided some training from time to time so that the efficiency can also increase when they are working. So through a practice question, let us try to understand which type of question can come on this particular topic. With reference to National Health Mission, which of the following are the jobs of ASHA, a trained community health worker, accompanying woman to the health facility for antenatal care checkup, using pregnancy test kits for early detection of pregnancy, providing information on nutrition and immunization, conducting the delivery of baby. Select the correct answer using the codes given below. So this is our humble request, kindly mark your answer in our comment section, your PS will review. Now we will discuss about our mains article, which is regarding decoded section. In this we will discuss the article from perspective of mains examination mostly. So the article is about power demand and hydrogen. This article has come into the backdrop of India's rising power demand and role of hydrogen energy in it. The article's heading is India Rising Power Demand and Hydrogen Factor. This has come into the Hindu newspaper in its editorial section. It is relevant in our GS3 paper, especially Science and Technology as well as Environment section. In both papers, this can be asked, like about the power, what hydrogen is acting, or development in hydrogen energy sector or nuclear energy sector. So let us try to understand through a PYQ that which type of question is coming on this particular topic. So the question is, with growing energy needs, should India keep on expanding its nuclear energy program? Discuss the facts and fears associated with nuclear energy. This question has come into mains 2018 examination about nuclear energy and its use. Similarly, there was a news regarding with reference to green hydrogen. Consider the following statement. This question has come into 2023 in our prelims examination. The question is, it can be used directly as a fuel for internal combustion. It can be blended with natural gas and used as a fuel for heat or power. It can be used in the hydrogen fuel cell to run vehicle. So this is particularly regarding hydrogen energy and hydrogen energy technology. Now, what we will cover in this particular section, so we will first discuss what news is about, then what is the current status of power generation in India, what is challenges to power generation, then we will further discuss what steps already government has taken, and then we will move what should be the way forward for it, and in that we will also cover what is the suggestion of this particular article, and finally through a practice question we will try help you to how these questions can become and how you will be able to write answer on this particular topic in your mains examination civil services 2025. So the news says that the goal of achieving a net zero, it can only be achieved how? By massive electrification of end use energy. So India needs a lot of power, and particularly it should be supplied through electricity, not through not using petroleum products. That's what article says. And right now fossil fuels are primarily helping India, like there is petroleum, there is coal. These fossil fuels are primarily helping India to achieve the target, to achieve the needs of power sector in India. Then for net zero economy, what is needed particularly? So for net zero economy, we need electrification of end uses and use of hydrogen for many industrial processes. So there is industrial process also, like there is leather industry where also power is required, and that can be utilized, or still industry is there hydrogen can be used as a substitute also. That's what article says. Now let us try to understand that what is the current status of power. So this data is from National Power Portal. You can access the portal anytime, and from there you can see this data is given there. So the data shows that thermal power is around 247 gigawatt. The contribution of renewable energy, direct renewable energy, is 167. If we will include hydro, that is large hydro, this is basically large hydro, it is again 47 gigawatt. Nuclear energy is around 8 gigawatt. Total 470 gigawatt on April 2025. So from this table you can expect that if there is a question regarding contribution of which sector is how much in energy generation in India, you can easily answer. Even here there is a pie chart which shows the percentage that thermal is 52.51%, then renewable energy sources 35.61%. These are pure renewable like solar, wind, biomass, whereas hydro, especially large, it is 10.14%. And then nuclear energy is around 1.74% its contribution in energy generation. There are some challenges in power generation in India. So like first is high cost of fuel. High cost of fuel, why? Because of import dependency, as well as the mining of coal is also not that much easy. The technology which is being used is still quite primitive. Manual labor is being used. So the cost of fuel is itself high. Even when we are importing like crude oil, we have to process it. So for process it, transport it. So these all things make the cost of fuel itself quite high. Then there is high contribution from non-renewable resources is happening. So over the period of time, due to government effort, various schemes has been launched, which will be further seen in various slides. So what is happening? The non-renewable energy resources is getting traction, and that is also having some challenges like acquisition of land is there, land issue is there. Beside it, the technology which is required for this renewable energy, like for solar energy, solar photovoltaic, we are dependent on imports for that also. The manufacturing of PV cells is still low in India as compared to the requirement. So there is huge import dependency also in those sectors. Similarly, installation of wind energy system, it also requires a lot of vast land tracts. It is not available throughout the year. So a lot of challenges, they are intermittent in nature. For hydro, there is problem of submission of the region which is being For example, if there is a forest, so it will be completely submerged due to the water, due to the formation of dam. There will be requirement of removal of people who are living those regions, so there is also issue of rehabilitation. So all these problems are challenges for India's power generation, especially renewable energy sector. Then there is huge dependency on imported coal also. Although India has a lot of coal reserves, but the production is not matching up to the demand, and that's why India needs import. Besides, the quality of Indian coke is also not that much good. So there is huge ash content in Indian coal. That's why also for particular purposes like for making of steel, specialized steel, India needs to import coke from various countries. Then the power plants which already has been installed, they are also easing. There is also issue of emissions, carbon emission due to old vehicles, due to old power plant. So these all things are creating power generational problem, especially in our power sector. So government for these things had taken some steps, like for renewable sector there is PLI scheme, especially for high efficiency solar PV modules, so that India should become self sufficient in solar PV production, rather depend on other countries like especially like China, which dump a lot of it and that completely destroy. It is just if India is started importing solar PVs, so it will be just substituting petroleum with other thing. That will not help us to become self sufficient. Similarly, there is National Solar Mission. Earlier its target was not that much, but over the period of time government has increased it to 100 gigawatt. Then there are solar parks, especially ultra mega solar parks, which are having ability to produce more than 1 gigawatt capacity of electricity also. Then government has come up with Pradhan Mantri Suryodaya Yojana. Then green energy corridor. We have also national missions on energy efficiency is also there. Then national wind energy mission, which is still part of national mission. There is national green mission. All these things are especially regarding renewable energy sector. Then there are some other missions which is particularly important from this article perspective, like national green hydrogen mission, which has been launched by government in Union Budget 2022 to 23. So what happened? Development of green hydrogen production capacity at least 5 million metric ton per annum with an associated renewable energy capacity addition of about 125 gigawatt in the country by 2030 should be done. This is the target government has set up for national green hydrogen. So the hydrogen production will be done with the help of renewable energy, and that's why it will be known as green hydrogen. Similarly, government is taking up various steps for nuclear energy, like in Union Budget 2024 to 25 to 26, government has put up a target or to reach 100 gigawatt of installed capacity of nuclear power by 2047. Even NPCIL has announced its ambitious program that it will be setting up 700 megawatt pressurized water heat reactors PHWRs. So these pressurized heavy water reactors will be installed for production of and generation of nuclear energy. Then some PSUs and departments like Indian Railway itself is looking to deploy nuclear power. So even there has recently been news about small modular reactors. So they are small nuclear reactors producing less amount of energy. They are safe, they are much better, they are easily installed, their gestation period is less, initial capital requirement is less, that can be used as a substitute for India's power energy need. Then solar and wind energy, which are intermittent sources, and that's why nuclear is used at that point of time as a base load. So what happens, as throughout the day solar energy will be present or wind energy will be present, but not 24/7. So when there is less or intermittent availability of these energies, nuclear energy or nuclear power can act as a substitute or provide base load. Then there is also effort to balance supply and demand during solar hours by use of coal powered power plants. Coal fired power plants is also a substitute. Then there is a concept flexing coal powered fire plants, in which what happens, solar and wind energy continue to operate at lower carbon emission. So what will happen, it will be use of coal power plant will be there, but it will only for a particular 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, then it will be utilized through solar energy, wind energy. Flexing of coal plant is easier as compared to nuclear. So because starting and shutting down of nuclear power plant is not that much easier and that much quicker, whereas coal power plant it is easier. So flexing is more easier in case of coal power plant, whereas in nuclear it is not. The government is trying to come up with some plan, PSUs are also working on that, so that nuclear energy can also be utilized in that manner. Then some other steps has been taken by government, we can see, which is regarding non-renewable sector. Like there is National Mineral Policy 2019, and this policy opened the gates for private sector also to participate in coal mining. So that's why this is also further helping in the availability of coal, minerals which are being utilized in the power generation. Then there is National Policy on Biofuels. So this is a very important and crucial policy under which government is trying to blend petrol, diesel through availability of biofuels. Beside it, it is also targeting that if there is some production of food grains which are not being utilized for the purpose of feeding our own population, then it can be diverted for the production of biofuels. Further, there is policy of help. So this help policy which help in exploration as well as development of various blocks which are used for extracting petroleum, like ONGC is engaged in this. So that policy is also liberalized and modified as per the requirement of time. Then in way forward, what steps should be taken so that power sector challenges which already we have seen that can be reduced. So expand renewable energy. Expanding renewable energy means include nuclear also. So what the author is saying in this particular article, that nuclear is not completely clean, but what can be done, that the definition of green energy should be changed. If there is less emission, that can also be included in a moderate or mild form of green energy. Grid modernization is the requirement of the hour. Grid modernization basically will help into increase in efficiency of transmission. It will also help in better tariff monitoring. So all these things will help, and also it will help to rationalize load setting. For example, if it will help to understand through the data that during particular period of which time we require more generation of electricity, how can it be we are able to rationalize those loads. Then energy storage and green hydrogen. Government already has coming up with various schemes for green hydrogen production, we have already seen. Beside it, battery energy storage system should also be promoted. There should be further R&D, like there is PLI scheme for advanced cells, so that should be speed up, incentives should be provided, and it should be scaled up. More work on energy efficiency. There is already Bureau of Energy and Efficiency, star rating system is there. All these things are helping, and further other like power plants should also be given star marks. So that will create competition as well as better efficiency of the products. Beside it, decentralized power generation, especially those things like wind energy, solar energy, like government itself has come up with PM Surya Ghar Yojana. So that scheme particularly focus on decentralized power generation. Solar energy is relatively much easier to generate from decentralized. And why decentralization is important? Because it does not require that much amount of capital, it does not require single land which is very huge in availability. So all these problems get eliminated. Even for example, installation of wind farms, a huge tract of land is required. So decentralization eliminates these things. Then the author further suggests that producing hydrogen by electrolyzers should be preferred. And what are electrolyzers? They are low cost equipment and they operate at different power level. So government is also coming up with incentive that Indian in manufacturing sector should come up with particular design models for electrolyzers manufacturing. There is a scheme for hydrogen production and which utilizes surplus electricity availability in green energy or renewable energy sector. Government has defined hydrogen produced by electrolyzers using electricity from solar and wind as green, and that can further be expanded for nuclear energy also. There is also a certification scheme by government for green hydrogen. Then the author of the article suggests particularly two things that should be focused, like taxonomy should be changed for green hydrogen to low carbon hydrogen. Green, many a times what happen, it should be graded on the basis of percentage of carbon emission happening in the generation of hydrogen. That will be much better incentives for various industries to produce green hydrogen. Then it will also enable nuclear to come up under the low carbon hydrogen. Then hydrogen generation as well as electricity storage need to be synergized to improve economics. That is the demand of the hour. So now through a practice question, let us try to understand which type of question can be asked and how should you approach. The goal of achieving a net zero economy can be realized only by massive electrification of end users of energy. Critically discussed in the light of National Green Hydrogen Mission. So what you can do, in the introduction itself you can mention about the current status of the power generation in India and basically the percentage of fossil fuels on which this generation is depending, you should mention in the introduction itself. Then in body, first will be how electrification is being done and what right now, how it is playing a role into the use of energy sector. Then we will write about some challenges, and finally we will discuss, after that in our body section itself we will discuss National Green Hydrogen Mission, how this will play and what is currently it is doing and how it will further play, and finally in conclusion we can mention about in the budget how government has promoted green hydrogen as well as nuclear power. So this is how you should cover this question in a holistic manner. Now, as we have covered this article in a very promising manner, this is our humble request. If you like our video, please watch it, recommend to your friend, share with them. Thank you.